All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to the Explainer. We've all heard the traditional financial gurus out there preaching that you need like $1 million to finally feel wealthy. Or maybe you've been told that hitting some six-figure salary is the ultimate magic number. But what if they're literally missing the whole point? What if there's actually a much smaller, way more accessible milestone that completely flips your relationship with money and frankly unlocks the entire global economy for you? Today, we're breaking down the real mechanics of wealth building. We're looking at the hard data, the economic realities, and the psychology behind why some people effortlessly build wealth while others just stay stuck.
So I want you to picture a feeling we all probably know way too well. You go to check your bank account on your phone, right? And instead of wincing or just immediately closing the app in horror, you actually smile. Think about what it really takes to stop mentally calculating if you can afford a coffee or if buying decent groceries means ramen for the rest of the week. Most people assume that feeling of relief requires, massive Wall Street level wealth. But actually, there's a specific, highly tangible threshold where financial gravity suddenly shifts in your favor, and the rules of the entire market completely change. And here it is. The magic number is exactly $20,000. Now, the real magic isn't just the number itself, it's the physics behind it. Think about pushing a massive boulder up a really steep hill. Getting it started is absolutely grueling. You're sweating, straining, barely making any progress at all. But once you crest that hill, momentum takes over, and the boulder just rolls down the other side almost effortlessly. Hitting $20,000 is that exact turning point. Literally, everything before it feels like pushing uphill against gravity. But everything after? It feels like gravity is finally working for you.
To understand why this happens, we kind of have to look at how our brains process scarcity. When you don't have a safety net, your brain is essentially locked into what psychologists call survival mode. Every single decision is filtered through fear. You might take a terrible job just to pay the rent. You definitely can't plan for the future because it feels like, your house is currently on fire. But once you cross that $20,000 threshold, you unlock growth mode. Your mental bandwidth suddenly frees up. Instead of constantly reacting to immediate threats and asking, how do I survive? You start proactively looking at the broader economic landscape and asking, okay, how can I grow this?
And the data totally backs this up. Vanguard's research shows a massive leap in well-being. Look at this. Having just a $2,000 emergency buffer boosts your financial well-being by a staggering 21%. That little cushion alone pulls you out of pure survival mode. But as that savings scales up to 3 to 6 months of expenses, which for most of us lands right around the $20,000 mark, you gain an additional 13% boost. You've basically just purchased the mental breathing room required to focus on actual wealth building.
Let's ground this in a totally everyday scenario. Imagine your laptop suddenly dies. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, this is a full-blown financial emergency. It derails your entire month. It's a life-ruining disaster. But when you have a $20,000 cushion, that exact same broken laptop transforms into a minor inconvenience. Heck, actually, it might even be an opportunity to finally upgrade to a better model. The event itself hasn't changed at all, but your relationship to it has. You stop seeing everyday life as this series of constant threats and start seeing it as a landscape of manageable choices.
Section 1. The math of momentum and scaling your wealth. So when we look at the hard math, the actual projections, the timeline to wealth radically shrinks. Let's say you're saving $1,000 a month with an 8% market return. Getting to your first $20,000 takes about 19 long months of pretty brutal discipline. But check out the next step. The second $20,000 doesn't take 19 months, it takes 17. You're doing the exact same work, but your first $20K is now working right alongside you. And as your portfolio scales up, say reaching a $400,000 balance, that same $20,000 leap happens in just 5 months. Your money is doing an increasing share of the heavy lifting.
So the absolutely crucial point here is scale. It's not that wealthy people have access to some secret shadowy hedge funds. It's that basic percentages look entirely different at scale. A 10% return on $2,000 is just $200. But if you have $20,000 sitting in an investment account earning an 8% annual return, that is $1,600 of passive income flowing into your life. That's real money showing up over the course of a year working on your behalf without you having to lift a single finger.
Section 2. Micro versus macro decisions and shifting your focus.
Reaching this milestone obviously requires serious discipline, tracking dollars and delaying gratification. But once you're there, this massive identity shift happens. When you're broke, you obsess over micro decisions. You burn incredible mental energy wondering if you should buy the generic cereal or if you can afford a $3 coffee. But after $20,000, you realize these micro decisions are honestly largely irrelevant to your overarching financial trajectory. Skipping coffee might save you $1,000 a year, sure, but it's not going to make or break your future.
You free up that mental bandwidth to focus on the macro choices, optimizing your housing strategy, maximizing your income, and solidifying your investments. You start focusing on the big moves that swing your net worth by tens of thousands of dollars.
And nowhere is that macro focus more powerful than in your career. When you're trapped paycheck to paycheck, your boss basically has all the power. You can't complain, and you definitely can't quit. But $20,000 gives you what we call walking away money. It's this incredible financial leverage that allows you to quit a toxic environment and negotiate from a position of absolute strength rather than desperation.
Just knowing you have this safety net completely changes your entire vibe. You can finally ask for the raise you deserve because, well, the worst they can say is no, and you'll be totally fine regardless. You can push back on unreasonable requests, you can take calculated risks, and explore entirely new opportunities. And honestly, here's the best part. Half the time, you don't even have to use this money. Just operating with that level of confidence makes people notice you, which leads to better projects and more income. It's a positive feedback loop that just accelerates your wealth.
Section 3. The Opportunity Cost Trap.
Now, this is exactly where most people completely mess up. They hit $20,000, they feel that incredible psychological shift we've been talking about, and then they immediately fall into a devastating trap. They decide they deserve a reward, right? Like a brand new car. But a $30,000 car isn't just a $30,000 purchase. If we look through the lens of opportunity cost and compound interest, spending that money today literally robs you of over $200,000 in lost future investment growth over the next 20 years. That money was supposed to be the seed for your generational wealth, not a down payment on a depreciating piece of metal.
It honestly borders on the absurd. While the globally interconnected stock market has the power to grow exponential wealth, the average person is dropping $600 to $800 every single month on a car payment. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it instantly loses 20% of its value. You are actively destroying your wealth. You're paying a premium to basically watch your money evaporate, all while complaining that you can't afford to save for retirement. It's wild.
Which brings us to our final and probably most important question. The person driving that flashy new car is more than likely stressed about making next month's payment, while the person driving the older, reliable car is quietly watching their stock market charts trend upwards, sleeping beautifully at night. So ask yourself, and really look at your spending. Are you funding your present appearance, or are your choices intentionally designing your future freedom? Reaching $20,000 is the difference between reacting to life and designing it. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now. Make it a good one.